What's going on, y'all? We're back with another video. We're talking defensive settings here because this is a major issue. You've definitely felt the drag, the gravitational force sometimes when you're playing on the park or on the Pro-Am. So I'm gonna show y'all the specific things that I do to help avoid as much drag as possible. And once you change your settings, believe me, there'll be a noticeable improvement. Let's get into it. Now let's be super clear. If you're a big man with 25 lateral quickness, there's not much I can do for you. Now you're still gonna see a noticeable improvement, but if you have hopes of D'ing up playmakers that know what the fuck they're doing and that are speed boosting, it's a wrap. I'm sorry. Like, you can try and you'll probably do decent, especially if you're really good, but it's, you know, that's the extent to your success defensively against those playmakers. The first thing you want to do is head into your controller settings, go to settings, controller settings, and turn who to guard off. Now usually you would keep this on just so when you're playing defense and the camera turns around, you can quickly identify who you're supposed to guard. But if you play defense and you have who to guard on and there's a switch, but the who to guard is still stuck on the other guy, you've officially switched but 2K hasn't recognized it, there's gonna be a gravitational force, and that's when the gravitational force comes into effect, and that drag is gonna kill you. If you're holding down L2, the drag will take you to places you didn't wanna be. Your controller's facing in the wrong direction and you're getting pulled in another direction. It's a disaster. And who to guard is responsible mainly for that disaster. There's some other stuff I'm gonna mention that you can also do, who to guard and all that other stuff, but you mainly wanna turn it off. Once you turn it off, you're gonna notice most of the drag is gone, but now you're holding a negative because without who to guard, if the camera flips and you can't quickly identify who your guy is, then you're gonna be in trouble. It's gonna take a couple seconds for, that's my guy, let me run over there. This is especially prevalent when you're fucking the Pro-Am and everybody's wearing the same thing. And so you generally are looking at numbers or hairstyles or just something to make people apart. On the park, it's easier because everybody dresses differently. But on the Pro-Am, for the most part, if you're playing any sort of comp game, you're playing zone defense. And when you're playing zone defense, you don't need a fucking who to guard on. And so that's initially why I turned it off. I was playing week 5 with Team Witness and we were playing zone and they were like, yo, turn who to guard off. And I was like, let me try this shit. And it worked out beautifully. Now, I've tried it in the past in the park when sometimes, trust me, it can be a struggle to find who your guy is, especially if you're not paying attention and you're zoned out and you're not really trying to try hard. But if you want that A1 defense, this is the first part. Now, the things I'm showing you in this video are so you can take control of your guy defensively, because there's a lot of times where it feels like 2K just takes over. And so turning who to guard off is part of that. The next part is head in the same controller settings, head back down there on your automatic shot contest. I've tried, always is a disaster because you're jumping at everything. You want to be able to control when you jump because if somebody pump fakes, it's game over if you have shit on always. The next thing is intense D, and then there's manual. I feel like manual is too flimsy. In my experience, manual is on point, but intense D is easily the best one. You'll especially notice a difference when you're using intense D while you're holding down L2 and you're playing intense defense. It feels smoother when you're moving around. It feels like you're in control. And then the last thing is the defensive assist strength. I have mine all the way down to 0. I don't want 2K trying to tell me where my guy should or shouldn't be. This isn't Call of Duty where you need an aim assist. You don't have to do anything pinpoint when you're playing defense on NBA 2K17. And so I turn it all the way off. It doesn't make a massive difference whether we have that bitch on 100 or 0, but I prefer complete control. I'm good defensively, so I want to be able to control defense. I got that. The gameplay you guys are seeing is from my post score. My post score has a 61 lateral quickness. In the past, in my build video, I explained the reason I would never play even a remotely serious game, or I would fuck with the anti-up sometimes, but only if I'm messing around. Like any serious game, I can't run with this player because defensively, he's compromised. He's just too slow. And so, although he's only 6'6", it's a post score, and he's especially speed with ball, but even his speed generally and his lateral quickness, it's a more sluggish player than my other archetypes. And so I was trying to find ways to guard these other playmakers because I was being matched up against them so often. Now, even with these changes, there's gonna be times where you're holding down intense defense and you have to break out of it and sprint to catch up to your defender, especially if they like to do momentum crosses in their playmaker or they run zigzags often. You're gonna have to bust out of L2 and you're gonna have to actually hold R2 and sprint to catch up. There's gonna be those times just like there is with my sharpshooter or anybody who's not a lockdown defender. I'll still find myself giving him a little bit of space defensively, whoever I'm guarding. So even unless it's a sharpshooter or a stretch big or someone who can shoot phenomenally, I'll give them a little bit of room to just do their moves. And I'll also be reaching in every once in a while. I don't know why people don't do this often. It's a major key. Listen, You don't want to be spamming it, but once every couple plays, especially if you're guarding ISO players often, you want to click the reach in button. You know, obviously you don't want to be caught while they're driving and then, you know, you reach, I teach and all that BS, but when you reach in, there's often times, especially when you're guarding anyone who's not a playmaker, like their animations just get stifled when you reach in, and it fucks everything up. It fucks up the momentum and everything. So it's just something you want to keep in your game, especially if you feel like the ball is right there. If I click square, my hand's gonna be on it. And for the most part, I'm pretty successful doing that with my post score, and I don't even have the pickpocket badge. Actually, I think I might have it for my post scorer, but it's a bronze badge. And my steal is at what, a 74? A 71 actually. The one thing you want to look out for when you're playing defense is you always want to be moving. If you're not a fast defender, you're not a lockdown or a paint protector, it's going to be tough for you to stop and then get started. The acceleration from stop to start is tough. You're slow, and people can momentum boost and get by you every day. And so when you're playing defense, just run around. Let's keep moving around. Go left, right for the most part. Don't ever stand still, because if you stand still and you're playing somebody who can move quick, if you're playing garbage opponents, you can just disregard this one. But if you're playing off ball, you generally want to be moving around. You're playing on ball, of course you can be moving around. You're going to try and stay in front of the defender. Alright, let me hit some specific points now, because screens, you can't do much about that. If you're a slower player, of course, avoid screens, because when you hit the screen, you're officially stopped. No more speed, and the acceleration was really going to take a while. And if you're switching on defense or you have to hedge and return, it's a massive issue, and then it's usually going to result in an open three. There's not much you can do but just try and avoid it. Just a quick point is strength. If you have high strength, it helps you a ton defensively, especially if your strength is phenomenal relative to the guy you're guarding. There's gonna be times where you shove him and just keep him in front of you. It's gonna make playing defense a lot easier. Now I want y'all to take a look at this specific play, because I put this here for a reason. You're gonna see here in this clip, we're playing defense and we're trying our best, and I'm gonna come late on the contest. I'm gonna see the pass, I'm gonna try and run up, and my guy doesn't put his hand up. The reason I prefer intense D over manual is because I find this to be more frequent when you're playing with manual. Even though you're holding L2 and you're running up with your player, he won't put a hand up. And of course, at that point is barely a contest, and there's a greater chance of the shot going in. It's part of the reason why I prefer intense D, but you can really switch between the two and find what works best for you. But in my experience, it was easily intense D. And then the last part is probably the most obvious point is, guys, if you're playing defense and you've done a couple ISOs against the guy, you know how he's gonna work for the most part. Just predict where he's gonna go and get there before him. Stop. If you guess a screen wrong, it's game over, because you get hit and then you have to accelerate again. Try to avoid that. Just, I mean, at this point, it's just really defensive IQ of the user at this point, and that's not something you could learn in a video. So I recommend y'all try the settings out. If you have your Who to Guard on, turn that bitch off. Put yours on intense D and turn off the defensive assist that 2K gives you. And believe me, you'll see a difference. A massive difference with my post score already. I tried it with my sharpshooter again, and my sharpshooter has better defense statistically, and he moves faster. He's not as sluggish, and so guys, it's a whole new world out here, alright? Anyway, if y'all enjoyed the video, you found it helpful, drop a like, subscribe if you guys are new. We're dropping 2K17 Heat daily. I'm gonna catch y'all later. I'm out. Peace.